I'm James Wakefield.
Nice to meet you, Rolla Hoffman.
Would you like a copy of my resume?
Yes, please.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about on my resume?
Yep, no, once I finish looking at it, I'll review it. James, tell me a little about you.
I'm going to graduate from St. Xavier University in December. I am a National Science Foundation Scholarship recipient. You get that based on your financial need and your academic excellence. And I'm currently working at St. Gerald Elementary doing their IT administration. And I'm also working at the University Bookstore, cashiering.
So what is it that you do at the St. Gerald specifically?
I manage their Windows file server, and I also make sure all the computers are working in the building, as well as the network stays up.
What does that mean to manage the network file server?
They're running a Windows Server 2003, and they have different files set up on the server that different labs need to interact with and get to, like Accelerated Reader, and the ELS lab also needs access to certain files so the kids can log onto the computer.
So do you work with Active Directory at all?
No, I don't work with Active Directory, but we're working on getting Active Directory set up. It's fairly new system, so it's just a basic file server.
Okay. And so do you set up the permissions for that server, or
Yes.
it's just, how about shares? What do you do with shares? Shared resources?
Shared resources. We run it all through the same work group, so any printers that are in any room, we just make sure we share it with the rest of the work group, so it can be accessed from any computer.
Okay. What's the toughest technical issue that you have to deal with?
Computers going down, because the computers are so old because it's such a low budget, and we don't get that much money. The newest computers are the ones that are in the computer labs, but the classroom computers are still running on like 5 to 6 year old E-machines and Dells, so I have to manage keeping them up and keeping them working.
How do you do that?
By repairing them. We have some old dead ones, and we part them out and find out which parts are working, which parts aren't, and we mix and match to try to get working machines, so every classroom can have one working machine.
So do you do that yourself, or do you delegate that task to others, or?
I'm the only one working there, so
Oh,
it's me doing it all.
So are you A+ certified?
No.
You said you work as a cashier now at the your university bookstore?
Yeah, as well as St. Joe.
So how do you deal with difficult customers?
I'd be polite and kind, and if there's anything I can't handle, I call a manager up to deal with the situation.
Okay. What did you dislike about school?
I didn't really dislike anything about school. I found it challenging and fun because I was doing something I like to do. I went to this field because I knew I liked computers. I liked computers ever since I was little. So I knew it would be a right fit, and not a single day was that bad.
Okay. Was there a project that you failed at?
There were projects that I had difficulties with in my database class because problems rose up, people didn't step up and do their work. So we were all in a panic mode in the end, and we were trying to get it done and didn't end up getting it done on time, but we did eventually finish the project.
What was your role in that particular?
I was designing the database, and everyone else was putting the numbers in and getting it all working.
Would you say you took lead on that particular project?
I ended up taking lead at the end when stuff started not getting done. I started tracking down team members and making sure that they were doing their part, and if they weren't, helping them do their part.
Did you take any other leadership roles during your work, your classes?
I take a leadership role at St. Gerald because I'm the only one in charge, so I have to make sure parts are ordered and things are getting done and things are getting done on time. So I have to organize my time appropriately so that each room can have a working computer and everything can get done.
So do you have a budget that you work with, or are you?
There is a budget, but I'm not necessarily in charge of it. The principal is,
Okay.
and I tell him what we need and if we have room in the budget for it. And if we do, he ends up ordering the parts or allowing me to order the parts.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge ahead of you and towards your final career path?
Biggest challenge is getting used to like the different work days. In college it was all jumbled up and there was family time and then there was work time and then there was school time. And it's going to be weird eliminating the school time and just having work every day and constantly. But it's starting to get more custom as I'm starting to work more jobs that are in my field. I'm getting used to the hours and getting up at 7 a.m. and working until 4.
So that's something you're doing now?
Yeah, I wake up every day at 8 o'clock. I'm usually here on Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm here till 4. And then Tuesdays, Thursdays is when I work at St. Gerald, and I'm usually there until 4 o'clock.
So what motivates you?
A job well done, making sure I get everything done, and make sure I push myself to get things done. And as long as I'm not droning on and I'm learning and pushing myself, it keeps me going.
So can you talk about that biggest success you've gotten so far?
The biggest success would be fully setting up the file server at St. Gerald. It was difficult getting all the permissions set up because we have it set up in a work group instead of an Active Directory, so it's a lot difficult and you have to manage a lot of different computers because there are 60 computers, which isn't ideal for a work group, but I had to work with what I had and I was able to get everything worked out and everyone was able to access the resources that they needed.
So how did you go about setting that up? Did you go out to the forums? Did you read a book?
Yeah, I went online and went to various forums to find out the best strategies and ways to do things. And I found some like articles online that described how the work groups worked and how Active Directories worked and how to set up the file server and everything.
So what's your most favorite forum?
I use Tom's Hardware. And I think overclock.net was an important website too.
Okay. Talk a little bit about what you would consider an ideal work environment.
Someplace that's happy and good place to be where people aren't overbearing and evil and angry, but someplace where I can be comfortable and be able to work and get my job done effectively.
Why should we pick you?
Because I feel like I'm qualified. I have the skills, I have experience with file servers, I have experience working with computers. I have experience ever since I was little with personal experience setting up networks at home, working on my own computers. And I feel like I can contribute successfully to this company.
Okay. What kind of support and training would you require to do this job?
I would need minimum help and training because I feel like I already have a lot of experience in the field. It would be the proprietary programs that you use that I would need training on, but the basics I wouldn't need much, and I'm pretty good at adapting to new situations.
What was your last salary?
I was working for $10 an hour at St. Gerald.
You good? Do you need more?
Up to you.
All right. Well, it was nice meeting you, James. And
It was
thanks for
nice meeting you,
coming in. Here's my business card.
Thank you.
All right.